Runaway stars Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons from Kiss, and was written and directed by Michael Crichton, and it's about police that go after malfunctioning robots before they can harm any humans. That sounds like an amazing premise for a movie. Like just the human cops going up against like an Ed 209 robot that's gone haywire. How did this one sneak past me all these years? Runaway takes place in the near future. Well, the near future in 1984, so the time period is probably around the technological bastion we call 1993. You know, the year where the Apple Newton was the most advanced thing we could think of. Oh, and the 3DO. And Runaway takes place at a time where robots control almost every aspect of our daily lives.
Lowering lamp to acceptable human level. Leveling.
It's a utopia. And just like any machine, these robots can malfunction from time to time. And the job of dealing with that falls on the police department instead of like a repairman or just a passerby with a really long stick to hit the off switch. And these malfunctioning robots are known as Runaways. And Tom Selleck plays Sergeant Jack Ramsey, who is the unofficial robot expert on the Runaway squad. And Ramsey joined the Runaway department because his crippling fear of heights allowed a suspect to get away, and that suspect later murdered a family of 6. Yikes. Ramsey gets a new partner, Karen Thompson, and they get a call about an agricultural runaway robot. And so they load up their gear and get into the police helicopter to stop a machine that is used to pick insects off of plants. You want to talk about a runaway? Let's start with the runaway police budget.
You know, you may not need all that stuff. You may just have to throw a switch.
That's all?
Well, you never know till you get there.
Sometimes there's a crank or a lever. And one time there was a pizza bat, and it had a push button, and the pizza popped out. Oh, what a day that was.
Identifying hornworm. Acquiring hornworm. Smushing hornworm. 1 hornworm eliminated. Time to completion, 8 minutes. I found a quicker way to destroy hornworms. I just killed 5. Whoa, impressive. Look at him go. That's amazing.
Like, seriously, why is this a police matter? This particular robot isn't even endangering anyone. He's just, like, smushing some corn. They make it to the cornfield and chase this robot all over, and when they finally catch up to it, the robot explodes. Why does a bug-grinding robot even have that capability? That night, they get another call for a Model 912 housekeeping robot that has stabbed a woman and her sister to death and is now holding a 10-month-old baby hostage. The father of the baby managed to survive, and we learn that he's an electronic engineer named Johnson. Alright, a robot malfunction, and the only survivor is an electronic engineer. Might want to ask this guy a few questions.
My God, he's crazy.
Who's crazy?
No television! No pictures! I won't be on television! No pictures!
Well, that was suspicious. Are they going to hold him for questioning? No? He's running away from a crime scene? Alright. They send a camera drone into the house to get visual confirmation of the crime scene. But the 912 now has a gun and opens fire on the drone.
I said no police, goddammit. You hear me? Now I want a plane fueled and waiting, and a briefcase with $1 million in unmarked bills and no cameras. And if I so much as smell a cop within 5 miles of the plane, I'll waste this kid.
Ramsey decides to go in and try to disarm the 912 by himself, and he suits up with hockey pads and chainmail because the classic protection never goes out of style. And the shitty news reporter sends her cameraman inside as well. Hey, get out of here. You want me to come there to you? What? Go. Are you saying you wanted me to come in there with you because I stepped in dog poop out here and I don't want to track it in the house? Sorry, it's very dry in here. You need like a humidifier bot. I've got one in my apartment and it works so well.
I said no press.
Ramsey gets the drop on the robot and fires 2 bullets into it, disabling it. And now let's get a look at this killer robot. What? So Ramsey saved the day by destroying the dot matrix printer with a gun. Like every time he moves, the gun just like swivels back and forth. Hilarious. Ramsey takes Thompson back to his house, where he lives with his son Bobby and their robot housekeeper named Lois.
I'm the beer.
Anything diet?
Like diet beer? We learned that Ramsey got Lois to help around the house after his wife died in a car crash. And it is amazing that 40 years ago, Crichton predicted what it would be like to talk to an Alexa.
Will your guest be staying for dinner?
Me?
Oh, you're welcome if you'd like.
You are welcome if you would like.
It's no trouble, really.
It is no trouble, really.
Lois, I was talking to her.
Excuse me, Sergeant.
Well, I'll see you tomorrow.
Will I see you tomorrow?
No, Lois, she was talking to me.
Excuse me, Sergeant.
Just maddening. The next day they're checking out the 912. They discover that it's been modified with a non-standard chip, and then the chip self-destructs. Ramsey gets another call for a runaway stacker robot at a construction site.
Stacking, all day long. Stacking one, I sing my song. Stacking successful.
Ramsey is too scared to go, so Thompson goes up to deal with the robot.
I'm on the 18th floor.
I got it.
They begin investigating the Johnson crime scene, and they check the Johnsons' Ring doorbell. And Crichton got this one wrong, because he seems to think that people would use it to leave messages like it's a phone. And they catch Johnson's partner recording a message saying that he's nervous about their project and wants to meet. And then Gene Simmons claiming to be from Acme Robot Repair, saying that he got a report that a 912 is malfunctioning, but the rest of that recording was erased. We learn that the repairman is actually Dr. Luther, who hired Harry and Johnson to develop the computer chips for him, and Harry demands that Dr. Luther pay him, but then Luther takes off and sends a robot after Harry that stabs him in the neck and blows up. The blowing up wasn't part of its programming. That's just what these robots do. The police get a tip about the location of Johnson, and they apprehend him, but when he sees Dr. Luther, he panics and takes off, and Luther guns him down with some sort of mini-guided missile.
The eyes were squintier. Pretty close. That's a lot like him.
I mean, that's great and all, but you have him on video. I mean, it's a completely realistic and accurate sketch, so much so that it blinks, but it's totally unnecessary. And the cops find that Johnson worked for a company called Vectracon, and they go to investigate what Johnson was working on. And while they're there, they get a call for a runaway inside the building. A robot is holding a secretary named Jackie Rogers hostage on one of the floors, and she's being kept there by a sentry robot that delivers mild shocks, and these robots are so stupid looking. It's really difficult to feel any sense of tension. And because it's essentially a bar stool with a stun gun, Ramsey's able to completely destroy the robot with a chair. And then in the span of 10 seconds, Ramsey is completely caught up to speed on the sinister plot.
What are these?
It's not my fault. He made me do it. He made me get them from the vault.
Who did?
Luther. They're his chips. I don't have anything to do with this. He said he would kill me if I didn't get him for him tonight. He said he would kill me just the way he killed Johnson and all the others.
Where is he?
The Ritz Hotel.
Way to slowly provide the audience with information. You say Michael Crichton was a famous author? Like of words? And by the way, I'm just kidding. Michael Crichton was awesome. I read Sphere every summer. So they make their way to the Ritz, and Luther manages to get away to a helicopter on the roof. Before he took off, Thompson was shot by Luther, but she has an unexploded projectile in her arm that needs to be removed before it goes off. Does absolutely everything explode in this movie? And so they bring in a bullet-removing robot.
Can't use this thing on her. They screw up all the time.
We have to use it. It's a live show.
It'll screw up. It'll blow her arm off.
As every robot must do at some point. And Ramsey gets his ass chewed out by Captain Harris from Police Academy.
Oh, it's a runaway operation? No runaways in that room.
Yeah, but we've been after
You
this-
screwed up good, Ramsey.
Get your hands off my ass, Proctor! And so because every machine sucks, Ramsey says that he'll get the projectile out himself. Everyone clears out and he manages to get the projectile out and it explodes. They discover that the bullets Luther used can be programmed to track any person's unique heat signature. And it's done with a special chip that can also override any computer's program and cause them to go crazy. And they know the chips were manufactured on an assembly line and realize that whoever has the templates can make more. And just then Luther calls Ramsey at the station and he tells Ramsey to release Jackie or he'll kill all of them. They try to move Jackie to a secure location and they take her in a squad car with a robot driver.
Oh, hello, Sergeant Ramsey. Some weather we're having today, huh? Should I take the 405?
It's Luther.
I'm gonna take the 405. So, did you watch the big game last night?
Luther's men send a lock-on robot to destroy their vehicle, and in reality this robot was designed to perform oil changes, but they repurposed it when they found out that it explodes as soon as it's under any cars. There are too many lock-on robots to destroy, so they have to switch cars in the middle of the highway.
Did I tell you my little Jimmy is starting preschool next week? I am a nervous wreck. They say it's important to let your children grow, though, and sometimes you have to let go a little.
They try to flush Luther out into the open and he takes Thompson hostage. And he wants to exchange Thompson for Jackie and the templates. And he knows that Jackie gave Ramsey half the templates, so he murders her and takes off. And Luther goes to Ramsey's apartment and kidnaps Bobby and destroys Lois. And then Luther calls and tells Ramsey to meet him alone.
Said alone. He'll know if you come.
I'll wait out in the car.
Listen to me. He'll know. I'm not taking any chances with Bobby.
So Luther has Ramsey meet him at a construction site, and it starts to trigger Ramsey's vertigo. And Luther releases Bobby and sends him down the elevator, but then he tells Ramsey that the robots are programmed to kill the first person who steps off the elevator. And we learn that the spider robots kill by injecting their victims with acid. And then, as we saw, they then blow up. Seems like the acid would be enough. You know, then you could just keep using them to just inject more acid. But before the spiders can attack Bobby, Thompson shows up, after disobeying a man, mind you. Michael Crichton would have been upset to know that that hasn't changed much in this day and age. And she manages to save Bobby and sends the elevator back up. And Ramsey and Luther get into a fight in the elevator, and Luther falls off and gets killed by the spiders.
Look, Papa, we are killing the first thing that got off the elevator. Aren't you proud of us, Papa?
And then the spiders are compelled to obey the fifth law of robotics. So that was Runaway. Yeah, it was something. I had never seen this movie before, but I've seen the posters forever, and it just always looked so generic and weird. And it seems like it would be set in outer space. Like, it looks like Tom Selleck has a spacesuit and some space laser, which is a gun he never uses in this movie, by the way. But Michael Crichton wrote Jurassic Park, so I guess he can be forgiven for this. Ooh, and Timeline. Oh, and The Lost World. And Congo's pretty good. Airframe was really boring. I've tried like 3 times to get through it. Prey also wasn't that great. I saw the movie Disclosure.